curiosity, if I could tell you that you can control your internal conversations, is there any reason you wouldn't want to know about it? And if you could learn how to do this for yourself in 5 minutes or less, is there any reason you wouldn't want to master it? Now stay till the end, because I am going to walk you through an incredibly powerful experience that just might change your life. Can you imagine having the ability to control your internal conversations to your advantage almost instantly? Today, I'm going to share with you a variety of things. The first is a chapter in my life that I survived and wish I had known how to navigate sooner. Had I known then what I now know, I could have saved myself a whole lot of pain, stress, and aggravation. This is why it is so important for me to share this with you today. Now, once upon a time, I sat in the dentist chair going through the very lengthy and pricey process of getting my second false tooth placed. Now, as all of you can imagine, this is a dental procedure that nobody wants to go through, especially for the reason I had it. The reason I was sitting in that dentist chair is part of what made me the woman I am today. It was the direct result of an eating disorder, a struggle which sadly many may be able to relate to, whether through personal experience or someone you know. This is why it is so important for me to share this with you. For me, I would go for periods of time without eating, only to end up binging on a variety of sweets, which I would then chew and spit out. I hid this from my family, my friends, my colleagues for years, along with relentless anxiety and an inner dialogue that had become so vicious, I could barely tolerate being inside my own head. Now that day, as I sat in the dentist chair, the voices in my head were louder than the dentist drill. One voice was screaming at me, telling me how stupid I was, how pathetic I was, what a failure I was. And the other voice was reminding me of the countless hours and thousands of dollars I had invested into self-help material, trying to help myself. Yet for all that time, all that money, all that effort invested, I was still stuck. And now things were getting worse, because now I was losing my teeth. Up until that day, I had adamantly refused to tell anyone anything that I was going through because of how horrified and mortified I was of my own behavior, and because of the rip-roaring confusion and chaos and frustration this was causing me. I could not understand that despite my best efforts, I couldn't break the cycle. Now, at the end of that appointment, with a pounding headache causing the vicious voices to retreat, thankfully, I stood up to gather my belongings, and that's when I heard it. A soft, distinct, gentle voice inside my head say, "Maybe there's something you just don't know yet." And that was it. That was the turning point. I finally decided to reach out to professionals for help, and one practitioner in particular introduced me to a technique that completely changed my life. Now raise your hand if you've ever noticed this. You've been in a great mood, having a grand old day, and then suddenly you are overwhelmed with negative thoughts, and emotions and feelings. I'm quite familiar with the feeling. Now, what I didn't understand is that some of the voices in my head were trying to help me, while other voices were merely echoes of other people's opinions. I also didn't understand that my body was trying to communicate with me. Did you know that your body does this? Ever get that sinking feeling in the pit of your stomach, or that pain in your neck? That's your body communicating with you. It's quite literally a sign from your body going, excuse me, there's something here that needs your attention. Can you address it, please? I had no idea. Now, the technique that was introduced to me is known as holographic memory resolution, or HMR for short. And it was developed by a man named Brent Baum, who, among many wonderful things, is also a licensed addictions counselor. Now, this technique is based on the groundbreaking idea that memories are malleable. We can shape them, we can change them, ultimately allowing ourselves to feel better and then even better. Now, this technique teaches us to master the connection between the voices in our head and the feelings in our body. I like to think of it as having the remote control to your inner world, letting you turn down the volume on those critical voices, on that negative self-talk, and letting you turn up the volume on that positive, supportive, encouraging self-talk. And the best part, you can learn how to do this for yourself so that you can then do this anytime, anywhere, and for any reason you choose. You see, as we go throughout life, we have these really great experiences, like that amazing birthday party or reuniting with that loved one that you haven't seen for so long, or finally accomplishing that goal that you set out to accomplish. And these experiences often leave us happy and joyful, and then they become stored in our memory as positive experiences. But then there are those tough times, those challenging times, like getting yelled at, or abuse, or being in an accident, or the betrayal of a friend. And these experiences often leave us sad and hurt. And then they become stored in our memory as less than positive experiences, or what some would refer to as negative experiences. Here's the thing though. Your nervous system decides what it finds to be overwhelming, painful, stressful, hurtful. We don't get conscious decision over this. We don't have control over it. And it is unique to each of us. This is why some experiences that can leave us feeling bad with strong emotions like shame or guilt or embarrassment or humiliation, they can become stuck in our nervous system if not fully processed. And then they can cause us to react strongly in certain situations. Now, the beautiful thing with this technique is that this technique shows us where in our body our emotions are held, whether less than positive or positive. And then it shows us how to adjust them. The amazing thing is that this allows us to release that emotional burden of those less than positive experiences without reliving the pain and without changing our memories. And then this allows us to enhance and amplify those positive experiences so that they feel even better. Now, in September of 2023, in the Journal of Psychiatric Research and Clinical Practice, researchers found incredible evidence of holographic memory resolution's effectiveness. Participants reported improved emotional well-being, reduced levels of anxiety, and relief from post-traumatic stress disorder symptoms following HMR sessions. Now, for me, my experience was both immediate and continued to get better over time. Those once critical voices that ran in my head, they got quieter and they diminished. And those positive, supportive, encouraging voices that I had always wanted, they got louder. Working with professionals and this technique went well beyond my thoughts. This really is worth understanding because we spend so much time listening to the voices in our head, and they impact how we feel throughout the day. But once we understand how to adjust the voices, it can really change our entire outlook. Now, back while I was in graduate school studying for speech-language pathology, my professors were adamant about one lesson in particular, and it was the power of hands-on practice. So, if you would like to learn how to do this for yourself, and you would like to know how to instantly elevate your mood and shift your mindset anytime, anywhere, and for any reason you choose, I invite you to stand up right now. Quick disclaimer, if you're driving or operating heavy machinery, I request that you please stop listening right now and you resume when you are in a safe and stationary position. Now, for everyone who is standing and ready, I invite you to simply close your eyes. And understanding that your feet will remain strong beneath you throughout this entire experience. I invite you to travel back through your memories, through that cherished moment when you received that gift from a very special someone. Now, this doesn't have to be the biggest gift, just the one that meant the most to you. Can you see it when you saw that gift and you knew it was for you? Notice that this created a feeling somewhere inside you. With one hand, I invite you to place your hand where you feel that feeling now. Next, I invite you to notice that there's a color or colors connected to this feeling. First impression. Next, I invite you to notice that there may be a weight connected to this feeling. Is it light? Is it heavy? Next, I invite you to notice that there may be a temperature connected to this feeling. Is it warm? Is it cool? Next, I invite you to notice that there is a texture connected to this feeling. Is it smooth? Is it bumpy? Just take a moment and notice any other characteristics about this feeling. Next, I invite you to notice that out in front of you is floating a picture representing this feeling. Go ahead with your other hand and reach out and touch that picture now. Notice the intensity of the feeling in your body. Next, I invite you to take both hands and trace the edges of that picture so that you know how big it is. Wonderful. Lots of smiles. Next, I invite you to make this even better. Whether you want to pull it closer to you or you want to expand it bigger, however it feels best to you. And as you play with this, notice the intensity of the feeling in your body. Next, now for the sake of our exercise, we're going to do something a little different. I promise you can get this back. You will get this back. But for the sake of our exercise, we're going to actually shrink this picture down so small that it fits in the palm of your hand. And on the count of 3, we're actually going to throw it behind us, so far behind us, behind the horizon, that it completely disappears. 1, 2, 3. Notice the intensity of the feeling in your body now. You see some frowns. That's okay. Promise we were going to get this back. Next, I invite you to notice that in your hand are the world's most powerful magnets. And you're going to raise your hands on up, right behind you. And on the count of 3, we're going to pull that picture back from where it came from. Ready? 1, 2, 3. There you have it. You have your picture back. You have your memory. Notice the intensity of the feeling in your body. Next, I want you to notice if the color changed or stayed the same. First impression. Next, we're going to do something really cool. If there was a color or colors that you could add to this picture to make it feel even better, go ahead and do that now. And as you do, notice the intensity of the feeling in your body. Next, we're going to transform this into a glowing ball of light, taking all these incredible colors, this beautiful memory, this amazing moment. And I invite you to hug that glowing ball so close into you until it melts into you completely. And as you do, notice the intensity of the feeling in your body. Allowing this to go through deeper and deeper with every breath you take and every beat of your heart. Notice the changes. Don't try to manage or control them, simply allowing them to happen. As you do, notice the intensity of the feeling in your body and how this continues to get better and better, like new software rewriting over old software. Next, I invite you to make it so strong, so deep, that nothing in the world can turn this off, not even you. And when you have this feeling so strong, so deep, locked completely in, I want you to give it a little test. Try to turn it off. And when you notice it will not budge, stop testing. You were just able to locate a feeling, amplify it, reduce it, modify it, and lock it in. You did that with your thoughts and your feelings. You just learned how to create and master your inner world. And now for the best part, Simply open your eyes and notice how good you feel. Now you can understand how different my experience would have been had I known what you now know. By tuning into the signals in our body, we can notice where we feel those emotions, where we store those less than positive experiences. We can shrink them down and send them behind us. When we notice those positive experiences and those positive emotions, we can expand them and amplify them so that they feel even better. Understanding that with this technique, if you can point to where you feel it in your body, you hold the ability to change it. What might you do with this knowledge? Just imagine the possibilities for your life. What would you do if fear was no longer a barrier? How unstoppable might you become? Remember this, what you say to yourself matters. You have the right and the opportunity to change the voices in your head to your advantage. And why? Because you are worth it. Change your voices, change your life.